right, let's do this. I'm so into feedback as a concept, especially as a business owner. And I know for so many of us, we kind of shy away from feedback because we think, oh my gosh, I don't want to ask people how my business is going or how they're finding the business experience, because what if they say it's not good? And this was me in the early days of my business. Full disclosure, I don't want to, sit here and say that I think that everything we've always done has been fantastic, and therefore I have no self-consciousness when it comes to asking people. I am loaded with self-consciousness when it comes to asking people about feedback, but I do understand the power of feedback and the importance of feedback and the way in which we should use feedback as business owners in order to improve what we do, serve our customers better, and make a bigger impact on the world. And therefore, I've become a lover, an avid lover of feedback, and I think you should be too. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And so if you're someone who shies away from feedback, I really encourage you to lean into it, especially because getting good, useful feedback, and let me just start by saying it is important to get good, useful feedback. We'll talk about that more later. Is a really good way to be able to reflect, a really good way to be able to self-reflect. As business owners, we don't often have a lot of feedback for ourselves. Of course, like we sit down and do performance reviews with our team members and we interview them and we give them the opportunity for them to give us feedback. But as business owners, we don't often get feedback for ourselves. No one sits us down for a performance review at the end of the quarter. So I think it's really important to understand that the data that we can get from feedback can be really important. And also, if you're genuinely asking for feedback, then it's a really great way to build know, like, and trust from your audience. Because if you can show that you're really committed to your customer, committed to your community that you're building, committed to the impact that you're making, if you're valuing the feedback that you're going to get, if you're really using that to improve what you're doing, then people are going to like that about your business. People are going to be impressed that your business is really, really showing up. So I think it's really important to start by talking about validation versus feedback. Feedback that we want to get is not like more followers on Instagram, not like reach and vanity metrics that we get from our social platforms. We really want not just the stuff that's going to make our ego feel good and make us, feel great. We want the stuff that can be really, really valuable. So it's really important to be soliciting feedback from your audience on a regular basis, a consistent basis. If we don't do this often, then if we give our customers like one opportunity to do it once a year, then it becomes this big overwhelming thing that we dread and we end up pulling out of, and then we don't ask for any feedback, and then it kind of snowballs. Whereas if we're asking for feedback consistently and soliciting it from our customers at different points in the customer journey, let's say when they first, made a purchase from us, or when they're coming back as a returning customer, if we make feedback in the terms of a survey or a click or a Google review or something like that during that time, then it's coming in all the time and it becomes less scary. Yeah. So, by getting that feedback, we show that we care about the customers. If we're using that feedback in order to adapt what we're doing in the business, then it shows that we really value their opinions. We really value them as customers. And that is going to really help people feel seen and feel understood and feel heard, and help them want to return and come back to us as customers long term. So I think it's important not just to think about feedback, as something that needs to be consistent, but think about feedback in terms of where we're getting it, because I don't go everywhere for feedback. I'm not just asking any old Joe Blow for feedback. I think it's important that we get feedback from our customers and our clients, but I also think it's important that we get feedback from our employees as well. And then I also really think it's important that we get feedback from our community and the people that we are around, because that is a really kind of important, kind of like three-prong effect. That means that we're getting it from different sources. And so when it's good or it's bad or it's helpful or it's not helpful, it's like as part of a there's lots of it. So it's not kind of this one token comment that's made out of context that you then find yourself awake in the middle of the night worrying about. I think in our business, in order to grow, we need to make sure that we are adapting and evolving. And I think being able to do that without having to reinvent the wheel or think, what should we be doing next? Getting feedback is a really nice way to do that. So when you do get feedback, being able to show your customers that you're using that feedback in order to drive results and to make change in the business is really, really good for building know, like, and trust. But let me just say that when it comes to feedback, and we can look at feedback from a range of different perspectives. It can be verbal feedback, it can be written feedback, it can be part of a survey, a part of survey results, it can be reviews. I think it's really important to come at it with a really open mind and come at it with a really curious perspective. Because if we just come at it with our guard up and with our dukes up, then people aren't going to feel comfortable coming to us with it. And we're also going to really struggle when it comes to the other side of it. So I really want to say, I want to encourage you to take feedback really openly. Leave the ego out of it. It's not about you. And yes, you are part of the process, and if it's your business, then you feel even more strongly about it. But I really encourage you to think about it without the ego that comes with it. And I encourage you to think about it from the perspective of understanding your business, understanding what it is that you do, because often people have feedback for us because they don't really understand the process, right? And unless we have the opportunity to communicate that to them, then they're left in the dark. So feedback can be a really great opportunity for open dialogue. And if you can leave your ego out of that and not have your back up immediately and not kind of be super aggressive and, kind of hit back when you get that feedback, it's better for the relationship. It's better for that open communication. And it's going to mean that people are more likely to come to you in the future. So the first part is leaving the ego out. The second part is thinking about, okay, is this constructive feedback? Is this feedback that I'm getting that I go, actually, we could do that? Is it a point of discussion? Oh, that's really interesting that you say that. The reason we made this decision was X, Y, and Z, so that they have a better understanding. But also, is it something that they're upset about because, there is an issue with the system? There is a something that we've forgotten, something that's fallen down, something that hasn't happened? Or are they just having a bad day? My gorgeous friend Ree Gold, who I do the Ree Gold Dance Life podcast with, he often says, did mum drop the meatloaf? Because in a dance studio context, we'll often have dance mums like fly in the front door and want to, give us feedback in regards to the process, or in regards to what their child is doing or achieving or not doing or not achieving. They're in the back row, or they're not getting the point shoes, or whatever it is that they're upset about. Sometimes they're upset because there is something to be upset about, and sometimes they just drop the meatloaf. And so it actually has nothing to do with you, but you happen to be the first place that they went after the meatloaf landed on the kitchen floor. So do have a think about that. Do kind of factor that in. Is this person giving you valuable feedback, or are they just having a bad day and they're unable to regulate their emotions and they're just taking it out on you? Because that does happen. And often people avoid getting feedback because they want to avoid that moment. But I actually think that moment is really valuable and actually feels kind of like a win for you in the business. Because if they come at you with something that's an issue that you understand that is done for a reason, or is part of your policies and procedures, or was clearly outlined in the code of conduct, those things, when they come at you with them, and you can go, actually, no, this is important to us and this is why, I actually feel like it's a win for you and your business, because you then can kind of feel a sense of strength about those decisions that you're making, because you are the expert in your field. That is the reason that you're doing what you're doing. When you get that feedback where you have done something wrong, it's a great opportunity for relationship building. If something has not gone the way it's supposed to, you have the great opportunity to be able to apologize, to be able to make good, whether that looks like, replacing the product or giving them an extra something. And then being able to create an experience that customer will then go away and rave about. If you didn't solicit that feedback, if they didn't give you the feedback, they have a terrible experience with your brand. They go off and they tell 20 people, and you have no opportunity to be able to rectify it. So feedback is really good in that sense, that you are then able to really work on what it is and give yourself the opportunity to rectify that relationship and to create a beautiful experience. So hopefully you're thinking about feedback in a different way and you're not so terrified of being able to solicit it. We do Feedback Friday in my businesses where we give the opportunity for, on a consistent basis, every Friday, a post that goes out on social media, give us your feedback. Of course, we don't ask people to give the feedback in the comments because that's not smart. We did that in the early days, learned that lesson. It goes to a jot form and then we review the jot form and we get back to the people. Some Fridays we get lots of things. Other Fridays we get nothing. Majority of Fridays we get nothing. But when we do, it's a great opportunity to be able to address it. I do want to say though, Brene Brown has a great quote that says, if you're not in the arena getting your ass kicked on occasion, I am not interested in or open to your feedback. And I love that. That's made such a big difference to me in my business because in the early days, every piece of feedback I got, I took personally. Every piece of feedback I went, oh my gosh, I'm the worst business owner ever. And they can see straight through me and I'm doing nothing right. And why am I even bothering do this? And I would, spiral. And now having a bit more experience, I really understand that there are some people who are in the arena getting their ass kicked all the time. And when they've got feedback for me, I take it on and I go, yeah, great. I can use that. I can do something about that. I can rectify that. If there are people that are just having a go for the sake of having a go, and I know that they're not in the arena and I know that they're definitely not taking risks and being uncomfortable and, trying to make big change in the world in the way that I am, then I'm really not interested in their feedback. And that's okay too. And it's taken me a long time to get to there. But I just wanted to make sure that that quote was part of this conversation because I know that in the early days of my business, I did, beat myself up a lot about nasty things that people would say. And I've become really, really protective of what I take on and what I don't take on. And I really am not taking on anything from people that I know who are not also in the arena. As small business owners, you are in the arena, getting your butt kicked, getting, falling down the dirt, dusting yourself off and getting back up every day. What we do is not for the faint-hearted. It's not easy at all times. And I want you to know that if it feels hard, then that means you're doing it right. Doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. If it feels difficult, that is, it is difficult. So you're not doing anything wrong. You're not having a terrible, this is not your calling. You're not having a terrible time. This is just what it is. So buckle up. You can do it. You will do it. Continue to push on and continue to believe in yourself and the community that you're building, the impact that you're having, and the brand as well, because it will be all worthwhile. But do come up with some consistent plan of attack when it comes to soliciting feedback from your customers. Use that feedback. Use it to build community. Use it to build relationships. Use it to improve your business. That's what the awards process is all about gaining feedback. And we have our feedback going out over the next little while to everyone who entered the Raw Awards this year, because the judges want to be able to tell you what you've done really well, what you are doing, what you can be doing better, and take on that feedback, make those changes so that not only will your business award submission be better for next year when you write it, but also your business will be in a better place too. And hopefully by taking on that feedback across all areas of your business, you are improving and growing all the time. And that's what I want for you. And if you are, then hats off to you. Thank you so much for listening to the Raw Success Podcast. I would love it if you would leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That helps us share the podcast with so many more people. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and have the best week. I will talk to you next week.